Hello, it's Mrs. Moericke. Tonight I'm reading from Because of Rabbit. Hope you guys are comfy and ready to enjoy. I'm reading the chapter, A Rabbit's Diet Should Consist Mostly of Grass Hay. School definitely had some fun parts, but it was exhausting. In homeschool, Mom always gave me a list of things to do every day, and I had to finish each one, no matter how long or short it took. But here at school, it was by the clock. Just when I was getting into science, it was time to switch to math. It seemed like I was always putting away books in my desk and taking out others. And yet, even with all that switching, whenever I looked at the clock, I couldn't believe more time hadn't passed. It was hard to pay attention after a while. I wondered and planned so much for my first day, and now I didn't know if I'd last through it. It was a relief when it was finally lunchtime. Now I could work on making a friend. As we lined up to go to lunch, Mrs. Hutton said, "Remember that as fifth graders, you no longer have assigned seats in the cafeteria. The back tables are all yours, and you can choose whatever seat you want." Everyone cheered, and so did I. Stepping into the cafeteria, I was nearly knocked over by how loud it was. Kids were talking and laughing and banging trays down at their seats. It seemed like they had been saving up all of their noise all morning. It smelled like a lot of food mixed together, like French fries and pizza with a dash of tuna. There were lots of rules: where to pick up your silverware, how to order, which line to get in for different things. I could barely tell where each line ended, and I accidentally got into the drink line twice. Even so, I forgot a straw. Lakeview Elementary School cafeteria seemed like a huge kid traffic jam. When I finally got to the lunch counter to choose what to eat, I didn't even know what some of the foods were. So I picked a square pizza, carrot sticks, an apple, and plop on top of it that I was hoping was chocolate pudding. I shouldn't have picked the apple though. It was wobbly on my tray every time I moved, making it hard to walk at first. Being able to sit anywhere might have seemed special to the other fifth graders, but whoever made that rule wasn't thinking about the new kid. Standing in the middle of the cafeteria, holding my blue plastic tray, I didn't know where to go. Leah and Iris were the only girls I really met so far, and they were already sitting at a table full of girls with no room for me. "Just sit down. Maybe you'll make a friend." I took a deep breath and froze a smile on my face, walked through the maze of tables to the first empty seat. When I got there, I saw a notebook on the chair. "Sorry," a girl said. "That seat is saved." The next empty seat had a ball cap on it. The longer I walked around, the more seats were filling up. I wanted to hide some tray somewhere and sneak back to the classroom where I'd have my own desk, but I didn't think we were allowed to do that. Finally picked one of the tables in the far back of the cafeteria where no one else was. The first day's the hardest. I'll bring my own lunch tomorrow. Then I can sit with someone faster. But as I was sitting down, my foot hit the table leg and my apple wobbled right over the lip of my tray. It bounced once on the table, dropped on the floor, and rolled to the table next to me. I knew I should have found it and thrown it away, but climbing under tables would not be a good first impression. Owen had said other kids didn't give you many chances before they wrote you off as weird. I took a bite of my pizza, hoping no one noticed the apple. Maybe I could find it after lunch was over. At least I had something to do now, eat. But even that was hard when you feel bad. Pizza crust was really chewy and the milk didn't help it wash down. Jack set his tray at the seat beside me. "School ends at 2:40. "Hi, Jack." I glanced at the clock above the serving window. How could there still be so much time left? I imagined Mom at home. Often she did her own work as a freelance designer in the morning between our lessons, but now when Mom usually made herself a cup of tea and we read together. I wondered if she was doing that today. And what about Lappy? I couldn't help feeling jealous that Mom and Lappy got to spend the whole day together. I looked down at my tray. I was glad to have Jack beside me, but also concerned. Owen had said to pick your first friends carefully, and Jack didn't seem to have many friends either. I didn't necessarily want to be super popular, but I wanted other kids to get to know me before they decided. None of those kids had saved me a seat, though. Another boy came over to our table. He was wearing a camo t-shirt and looked like he couldn't wait for lunch to be over either. "Hey, Jack," he said. I nodded at him. "Hi, I'm Emma." He nodded. "I'm Dustin." "Nice shirt." I couldn't think of one other thing to say, but maybe he'd say, "You too." "Thanks," Dustin said, started eating. Glancing around at the other children in the cafeteria, I felt like our table was the leftovers table. Leah and Iris were laughing with 4 other girls, and watching them, I couldn't help wishing I was over there. I kept the corner of my eye. I saw the apple shoot past my foot. It rolled across the floor. Uh-oh, was that mine? Dustin kicked it, and the apple went skittering past me like a little red soccer ball under another table. That table started laughing, and a girl at that table kicked it, and the apple rolled off towards another table. I looked at the teachers patrolling the room. They were busy talking to each other or helping the littlest kids tie their shoes or open milk cartons. I could feel my face getting hot. Even though I hadn't done anything wrong on purpose, I'd started it. I picked up carrot sticks from my tray. "My rabbit likes carrots," I said, pretending we were having a regular conversation I hadn't seen the apple. "Carrots are high in sugar and should only be fed to rabbits on an occasional treat," Jack replied. "Really?" I felt awful that I'd given them to Lappy, but occasional doesn't mean never. "Grass hay is their main food. It helps wear their teeth down," Jack continued. "If rabbits don't wear their teeth down, they just grow and grow." I opened my mouth to say that we had given Lappy hay, but a woman's voice said, "How's your first day been, Jack?" I turned to see Ms. Martell behind me. "Emma has a rabbit," Jack replied. "I asked you how your first day had been, Jack," she said. "What do you say when—" He sighed. "My first day has been good, and Emma has a rabbit." "That's great," Miss Martell said. "I'm glad you're having a good first day. And how fun that Emma has a pet rabbit. I'm sure that gives you lots to talk about. What's your rabbit's name?" "Monsieur Lapin," I said. "It comes from a story of Pépère used to tell me about a trickster rabbit." "Silly rabbit," Jack said. "Tricks are for kids." I giggled. I didn't know if he meant to tell a joke, but it was funny. "Whose apple is this?" a loud voice asked. One of the teachers was holding my apple by the teeny stem. It wasn't round anymore. It had chunks missing from being kicked around the room. There were lots of snickering. I opened my mouth to say that it had been an accident, but no words would come out. My heart tightened, waiting for some kid to point at me, but no one did. "Don't leave a mess for someone else to clean up," the teacher snapped, throwing what was left of the apple in the trash can. "You can get ready for recess now, but be sure all of your trash gets in the can." I was so grateful lunch was over. I was one of the first kids to take their tray to the trash can. There were several different colored trays next to a bin of soapy water on the table. The soap bubbles were so thick that I couldn't see what was inside. "Let's go," one of the lunch ladies said to me. "You have a long line behind you." It was a mistake to be first. I bit my lip hard to keep tears from starting. "Food in blue," Jack chanted behind me, "trash in black, recycling in gray, silverware in the soap." "Thank you." I put my silverware in first and then realized I had nothing to use to scrape the extra pudding off my tray. I had to take a spoon out of the soapy water and use it. Why hadn't I asked Jack to go first? When my hands were finally empty, I had soapy bubbles on my fingers and my heart was pounding. I wiped my hand on my jeans and back of my seat, waiting for someone to tell me I couldn't leave. I didn't belong here. Maybe it had been a mistake to come. I'd never been this unhappy in homeschool, even without Owen. "School ends at 2:40, Jack said again. I looked at the clock with him. I can't wait. Thank you for reading with me. Good night.